There is an island just north of Australia that most people could not point to on a map. The second largest island on Earth after Greenland, roughly 786,000 square kilometers of mountain, swamp, and rainforest. New Guinea. About 14 million people live here, but the number that matters is not the population, it is the map. Because for most of human history, the interior of this island was simply blank. Nobody had been there. Nobody knew what was inside. New Guinea is a place where the rules you grew up with do not apply. Here lives the only poisonous bird known to science. Here lives a bird that can open a man with one kick. Here a disease spread for decades through the way people honored their dead. And here are more than 800 languages, more than anywhere else on the planet. Today, we will tell you 11 things that make New Guinea a place where nature, history, and humanity all play by their own rules. In 1930, three Australian brothers named Leahy went prospecting for gold deep into the central mountains. The maps showed nothing there, empty highlands, uninhabited, and they were wrong by 1 million people. Hidden behind the mountain walls were green valleys, terraced gardens, villages, smoke rising at dawn, an entire civilization, close to 1 million human beings who had no idea the outside world existed, and the outside world had no idea they existed. In the same decade that cars filled the streets of New York, there were 1 million people who had never seen a wheel or a metal tool, and they thought the strangers might be ancestors returned from the dead. This was one of the last times in history that two halves of humanity met for the first time, less than 100 years ago. That is how recently New Guinea opened its door, and most of it never fully opened at all. During the Second World War, New Guinea became one of the most brutal battlegrounds on the planet. The Kokoda Track saw fighting so savage that more men died of disease, starvation, and the terrain than of bullets. And when the war ended, the jungle simply swallowed everything. Thousands of aircraft went down over this island, and many were never found. They sit in the rainforest where they fell, wrapped in vines, slowly becoming part of the forest floor. Divers find warships and submarines on the seabed. Whole planes rest intact in remote valleys. The men who flew them never recovered. The jungle here does not preserve things the way a museum does. It absorbs them. And there are crash sites that have never been reached by a single person since the day they happened. The saltwater crocodile is the largest living reptile on Earth, up to 7 meters long, up to a ton in weight, and it rules the rivers and coasts of New Guinea. But here, people did not just fear the crocodile, they tried to become it. Along the Sepik River, young men go through a ritual in which the skin of the back, chest, and shoulders is cut hundreds of times, and as the cuts heal, raised scars form across the body, shaped to look like crocodile skin. The belief is that the crocodile, the great spirit of the river, takes the boy and gives back a man. There is no pain relief, and it lasts for weeks. The crocodile here is not only a predator, it is an ancestor, a spirit so powerful that people carve its image into their own flesh, and in the rivers, it remains exactly what it has always been: patient, invisible, waiting just below the surface with only its eyes above the water. The cassowary looks like something that should be extinct. Up to 1.8 meters tall, up to 60 kilograms, with glossy black feathers, a blue neck, and a bony helmet, it cannot fly, and it does not need to. On the inner toe of each foot is a single claw shaped like a dagger, up to 12 centimeters long. The cassowary can run through dense forest at around 50 kilometers an hour, and when it strikes, it kicks forward and down, and that claw can tear deep into a body in one motion. It is widely called the most dangerous bird in the world, and it has killed people. And here is the unsettling part. The cassowary is one of the closest living relatives to the dinosaurs. When you look at those feet, those eyes, that prehistoric helmet, you are looking at something almost unchanged across tens of millions of years, walking through the trees right now. In 1989, an ornithologist named Jack Dumbacher was catching birds in Papua New Guinea. A small bird with orange and black feathers scratched his hand. He put the cut to his mouth, and his lips and tongue went numb. The bird was the hooded pitoi, and its skin and feathers contained batrachotoxin, one of the most powerful natural poisons known, the same toxin found in the poison dart frogs of South America. The pitoi is the only known kind of poisonous bird in the world. Touch one and your skin tingles and burns. The bird does not make the poison itself, it takes it from toxic beetles in its diet and stores it across its body, even on its eggs. Across the entire planet, with all its thousands of species of birds, the only ones that are truly poisonous to touch live here. New Guinea invented something that exists nowhere else. The seas around New Guinea look like paradise, clear, warm, glowing with coral, and they are home to some of the most venomous creatures alive. The geographer cone snail looks like a pretty shell, but it fires a hollow, harpoon-like tooth loaded with venom. Its sting can cause paralysis and death, and there is no antivenom. Divers call it the cigarette snail, a grim joke that after it stings you, you have just enough time left for one last cigarette. In the same water lives the stonefish, the most venomous fish in the world. Disguised as a rock on the seabed, there is the box jellyfish, nearly invisible, with venom that can stop the heart. And there is the blue-ringed octopus, small enough to hold in your hand, with a neurotoxin that can leave a person fully conscious but unable to breathe. 4 of the deadliest small creatures on Earth, sharing the same reef. The water looks empty and safe. It is neither. In the highlands lived the 4 people, and among them, for decades, a disease crept through the villages that doctors had never seen anywhere in the world. It began with shaking, then loss of balance, then strange bursts of laughter the person could not control. Then they could no longer walk or eat, and within about a year they died. The 4 called it Kuru, the trembling, and outsiders called it the laughing death. The 4 honored their dead by eating them, an act of love and grief. Women and children ate the brain, and the brain in some cases carried prions, misfolded proteins, almost impossible to destroy, which spread the disease from the dead to the living. The most chilling part is the timing. Kuru could hide in the body for up to 50 years before symptoms appeared. Around 2,700 people died, and the last known case was around 2009. A disease with no cure, spread by grief itself, sleeping for half a century before it woke. Deep in the forests of West Papua live the Crocodile, and the outside world did not meet them until the late 1970s. Within living memory, they are among the last peoples on Earth to be contacted at all. They build their homes high in the trees, sometimes more than 30 meters above the forest floor, lashed together from branches and bark without a single nail. There are practical reasons: fewer insects, fewer snakes, but the deepest reason is spiritual. The Crocodile believe that evil spirits move across the ground at night, and to live in the trees is to live above the reach of the dead. And here is the part that should give you pause. Even now, large areas of Crocodile land have never been mapped or visited. Researchers believe there are still clans who have never seen an outsider and never want to. There are people on this island, alive today, who do not know the rest of us are here. New Guinea is home to some of the most venomous snakes on the planet. The taipan, the death adder, an ambush hunter that strikes faster than almost any snake known, and the Papuan black snake. In a wealthy country, a venomous bite is a hospital visit. Here, it is often a death sentence, not because the venom is worse, but because the nearest clinic may be days away on foot, across rivers and mountains, with no road and no antivenom even when you arrive. The death adder does not chase you. It does not flee. It simply waits, perfectly camouflaged, sometimes for weeks in the same spot, twitching a worm-like lure on its tail. You will most likely never see it. You will feel it, and by the time you reach help, it may already be too late. In 1961, a 23-year-old American named Michael Rockefeller, son of one of the richest families in the world, came to the swampy southern coast of New Guinea to study the Asmat people, who were famous wood carvers and also, until recently, headhunters. His boat overturned far from shore. 2 companions stayed with the wreck and were rescued, but Rockefeller decided to swim for land, kilometers of open water full of crocodiles and sharks, and he was never seen again. The official answer is that he drowned, but ever since, another story has shadowed the case, that he reached the shore alive and was killed by Asmat men. No body was ever found, and no certainty was ever reached. A member of one of the most documented families on Earth walked into New Guinea and simply ceased to exist. The island does not always give its visitors back. People have lived on New Guinea for around 50,000 years. Their ancestors arrived when modern humans were only beginning to spread out of Africa. And in those tens of thousands of years, sealed off by mountains and swamp, New Guinea came to hold more than 800 languages, by some counts over 900. More than 10% of every human language alive today spoken on a single island, not dialects, but separate languages, sometimes spoken by a village you could walk across in an hour. And now, the frightening part. These languages are dying. As roads, phones, and cities reach the valleys, the young move toward the wider world, and the old tongues fall silent, one by one. Knowledge gathered over 50,000 years, which plant heals, which plant kills, when the rains come, lives not in books, but in the minds of the people who hold it. And when they go, it goes with them. The crocodile kills you in an instant, but this loss is slow, quiet, and final. New Guinea is not cruel, it is honest. It does not pretend to be safe. Here, the water on the reef can kill you 4 different ways. The pretty shell is a weapon, the beautiful bird is poison, and the valley on no map holds 1 million people, or none, or someone who will never come home. And in the middle of all of it, humans have lived for 50,000 years, building homes in the trees, carving the crocodile into their skin, speaking 800 languages, surviving a place that forgives nothing. Nature here treats the tourist with a camera and the elder who knows every trail exactly the same. The only difference is knowledge. The only protection is respect. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.